Welcome back to the Valley today. A big reminder, Mother's Day happening this weekend. And if you haven't got a gift or even started planning yet, time is dwindling down.
Yeah, Jen Sullivan looks at some of the spending trends and has some creative ideas to help lower costs.
Sunday is Mother's Day, a day devoted to making the moms in our lives feel appreciated. And that might mean buying her something special. People plan to spend an average of $254 per person this holiday. That's a total spending of $33.5 billion, according to the National Retail Federation.
Consumers know that the real way to mom's heart is by making her feel extra special on this day.
Catherine Cullen with the National Retail Federation says topping the list of gifts this year are flowers and greeting cards, followed by spending on a special outing like dinner or brunch. Other ideas include jewelry or electronics, such as a new phone, or perhaps some noise-canceling headphones. Another creative idea is splurging on an experience.
Some of the experiences we see consumers gravitating towards are a spa experience, maybe a cooking class.
Happy Mother's Day!
But you don't have to empty your wallet to make the day memorable for mom. One way to keep the cost down is to do a fun activity with the family, like hike or plan a picnic. Colin also recommends looking for deals and discounts to help keep costs down.
We are starting to see retailers advertise Mother's Day deals and promotions, and we know that even more will be out there as the day gets closer.
But remember, no matter what you do, quality time is what matters most. And that's priceless. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And continuing the Mother's Day conversation, we're now inserting Justin Bieber. Justin and Hailey Bieber expecting their first baby together. Hailey Bieber posting a video to Instagram along with a montage of photos showing off her baby bump in a white dress.
Yeah, the announcement did not include a caption, with Hailey simply tagging her husband in the post. The pair married in September of 2018 after a 2-month engagement.